Right, so here are a couple of things that I'd like to discuss on camera today. One of the things I realized was that engineering and STEM in general has a lot of creative people, but they're being blocked by the very culture that academia fosters, that sort of breaks down their scientific temperament. One of the biggest things that I find to be cool about science is that you get to experiment with a lot of stuff. The social science is basically anything that relies on, Karl Popper's philosophy of epistemology, like his epistemological theory of knowledge, right? Like, if there's a claim that you're claiming, and then it turns out that you need some way to sort of say, some way to sort of conclude whether the claim is false or not, is that it should fit into Karl Popper's theory of falsifiability, meaning the claim must attract a negative of itself, in which basically we have some kind of a fact that can this is so hard. Anyway, keep rolling. Basically, let's say you came up with a grand claim, so-and-so thing exists, like a phenomena or a place or a thing at XYZ spot in the universe. Basically, the claim must be phrased in a way that we can test for evidence that confirms the opposite. Basically, we're able to falsify the claim, because if the claim is unfalsifiable, no matter how much evidence you bring up to refute the claim, would end up not refuting the claim because the sentence is phrased as such. For example, you can call a particular thing to be invisible to everything and say that, a particular thing made out of a particular material that doesn't exist on the periodic table exists, and we're not able to capture the energy capture the energy or basically resources from it that we would be able to then harvest in our electric grids and whatnot. So it's not a falsifiable claim. Like stating that the Loch Ness Monster exists, it's not a falsifiable claim, because the only evidence you can find relevant to the Loch Ness Monster is the one that just gives you an absence of evidence, right? If someone claims the Loch Ness Monster exists, and you're like, and basically that's their claim, and then you try to bring up evidence to the contrary, it will just say that that's the absence of evidence. Like, it doesn't mean that the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist. So that's the kind of unfalsifiable statements I'm referring to here, and basically, there's a lot of experimentation, evidence-based experimentation going on in that's supposed to be going on in the field of sciences and social sciences and whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, that can only, those kinds of experimentations can only go as far as the imagination is concerned. Like, you wouldn't come up with new ways to detect materials or detect particles. You wouldn't come up with new ways to measure a distance. You wouldn't come up with new ways to basically do cool stuff that would help us in advancing science, unless and until you have a creative brain. And the problem with this entire thing is that, sorry about that. The thing about academia is that it does not allow you to be playful, because all of these instances, like, okay, let's try to find the Loch Ness Monster. That's a very creative thing to do. Like, it's like having an adventure. But academia suppresses playfulness, because if you look at what academia has become as of now, is like a bureaucracy in which you just have to climb the ladders to get into a position of professorship, which usually were held by really creative and playful people like Richard Feynman or Freeman Dyson, and they were just like constantly fiddling about. Now it's been made so robotic that it's just not a nice thing to experience. Yeah, and what else? Yeah, I guess this is more or less my thesis, but let's see, maybe I took too long to sort of, articulate it, but I think that's the point. I want to get myself to be fine, even if I'm rambling on YouTube. Yeah, so let's try doing this.